Good morning. I can't believe it. It's 7 a.m. and yeah, our good God woke me up this morning bright and early, even though I went to bed really late. And this is a moment that I just want to bask in because if this is happening, it is truly this feeling of love that just wakes me up and knows something that I don't know. And my brain and my energy, my hours of sleep is limited. And I'm thinking, no way, no way. Can't we sleep in? uh, and the excitement and the joy that I had this morning. Um, I'm telling y'all, if you heard me a couple days ago, I said I normally find myself like emotionally and physically like waking up on the wrong side of the bed. And I that's what is actually a beautiful thing because it humbles me immediately and it just I'm reminded that I dare not start my day without this feeling of love and assurance, and I didn't even wake up on the wrong side of the bed today. I woke up with such a joy and a contentment. And as you might know, a very, very long day. Um, and yesterday on Saturday, and I didn't think I would. I thought I would sleep in, and I had zero desire to sleep in. So it kind of feels like Marcia, hello, good morning. It kind of feels like I'm waking up to all of us, just hanging out the night before, going to bed late, and then waking up and sharing a space in the same home together and just whispering and having that early morning conversation. Um, and it just feels so right. So I am going to begin, and it's we're back. We're back in the book of John, chapter 6. But yes, verse 9 through 13, um, as we're wrapping up the second week of small beginnings and just small offerings. And we've talked about it quite a bit. And this is my humble small offering, and I can't why do we even try to wrap our brain around God's goodness? I don't know, but the feeling that I have this morning, Kim, hello, right? It's like we're waking up early. You probably have your baby, Miss Callie, with you, and we're whispering in the room together and we're having I don't drink coffee, but I have my water and we're drinking our just winter beverages and probably all wrapped up in a cozy blanket. And we're just going to talk about Jesus. And we're going to hang out together. And I just love the feeling that I have that ushered me out of bed to just be in this space with you. And maybe you are watching later and you've got a pep in your step and it is midday and you've gotten a lot of things accomplished and you're not feeling that kind of do I see you? No, Kim, I can't see you as you know, but I know what it would be like. It's early on this Sunday and it's yeah, Sunday. Sometimes it feels like it's been a week from Friday to Sunday. It feels like it's already been a week. And sorry about my starts and stops. So I just feel very, very, very loved. And he knows what's ahead for us today, not just in eternity, but he knows what's ahead for us today. And so today was not a day to skip this. I couldn't if I tried. If I wanted to stay in the flow of love when I opened my eyes at 5, I think I went to bed at 1 And I opened my eyes at 5 or 5:30 or something. Um, and I'm just like, "Are we doing this?" Yeah, we're doing this. So if you don't know what we're doing, we are in the book of John, chapter 6, through this holiday season, up through Christmas, as we're reminding ourselves and really digging deep and poking around at truth. Good morning, Courtney. And we are reminded by Jesus in chapter 6. He's telling us immediately, like he just doesn't want us to miss, us disciples then over 2,000 years ago, to miss a beat on what it's like to follow Jesus, what it's like to be a disciple of Jesus, and this right relationship with him. And he didn't want the human people right at that time. We're human now, but we're reading um his word when he was alive, and we have a different relationship, and he wanted today's relationship. He wanted us, I keep saying us, but he wanted his early disciples and anyone who was experiencing his divine nature, his miracles, and this multiplication of one boy's meal. I'm going to call it a meal. I think it was an entire family's meal that he sacrificed, not even not knowing what they were going to do, not knowing if it would meet his needs, not knowing if it would how it would bless his family. Like, I'm giving this up. I'm doing this small offering, because that's what this week has been about. As I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Let me finish, Tara. Finish the overview. The overview is about our consumer mindset. Jesus challenging his early followers on, don't have this pathway in your brain of consuming even him. I just love, he's got such a healthy view on relationships, and relationships mostly with the king. And so this whole process that we're walking through together, is shifting from that consumer mindset to the vessel that we're the vessel, we're carrying the glory. I just want to be reminded of that. It's like this manger, and many of us has some form of a manger in our home, or we understand the power of this manger, which, let's remind ourselves that the manger was really this food trough. It wasn't designed to hold a king. It wasn't designed to hold a baby. It was a food trough, and it carried glory. We, Marcia and Kim and Courtney and Laura and Patricia, Miss Patty, Christine, Jesus, chapter 6, from the very beginning, is teaching us that we carry the glory. That's the overview. I got that out, y'all. And then we've been this week. The first week was that consumer mindset. The second week, as we're wrapping it up, is the small beginnings, the smallness that we feel, the smallness that I feel doing these a little bit every morning, little seeds of truth every morning. Like, what am I even doing? Like, what is the impact? What's the reason? This offering. Hi, Jess, this offering. And so he's showing us in the early part of chapter 6. We're just wrapping up 6 through or 9 through 13, this concept of this boy giving up his meal, Tara giving up sleeping in, and then it multiplies, and sometimes we get to see the multiplication effect, and sometimes we don't, which is what we'll talk about in the weeks to come, I'm sure. But I just want to sit in this as I'm getting my brain worked up here. Oh, good morning. And so let's just marinate in this for a moment, because where he took me before I came on with you, I thought, no way do I have the brain capacity to go that deep at 7 something, 7 a.m. on a Sunday. But we're going to go deeper. We're going to go really deep with him. And I've given up how long it's going to take to. So I want to put on my reading glasses because we're actually going to go to John 12 in a moment. We're going to go to John 12, verse, I don't know, 23, 24 area. But this is just, even though I had a plan, today's called The Hidden Power of Delayed Impact. And it's just this moment, and we've talked about it, but we don't mind repeating it because we need to create a new pathway in our brain. And to create a new pathway in our brain, it has to be repeated. Short-term memory to accessible and applicable and multiplicationable to make it a part of who we are. All right. So here we are in 6, 9 through 12-ish, 13, that this boy gave his meal. And there's this window of time that he did not know what that offering was going to do. He wasn't told ahead of time that it was going to multiply into a miracle. So Jesus is using this as an illustration on how to follow him and how to be in right relationship with him. This isn't a formula of miracles. We're not doing it to assume that, oh, this is going to turn into 5 to 5,000. We need to let that go. I mean, come on now. I'm feeling it already. This boy wasn't given the playbook. He wasn't given the answer. He was tested. He was challenged. He had to let it go. A lot of you had messaged me on how just talking about letting it go, talking about giving it up, and giving it might be the ick, it might be the overwhelm, but it also might be something really good. It might be something that we depend on, something that if we let this go, how are we going to eat? If we let this go, I mean, we could be talking about some serious relationships right now. And this boy gave up a meal, and he did not know it was going to multiply, and it was going to bless, and it was going to perform a miracle, and it was going to spread, and the ripple effect. No, there was this window of time. And Jesus has this window of time that he is alive with. Like, can you imagine being in the day of Jesus, being alive on earth, human to human? Like, so cool. But he's teaching people right away how to have a proper, right relationship with him. And this is just incredible. It's so encouraging. But what he's trying to show, and it boggles people's mind as we're going to go later back into chapter 6. He's already talking about him having to be gone. And anyway, so I'm going to jump ahead to chapter 12, and I'm just going to go with it. I don't know how he uses me this way, but he is. So the time has come for the Son of Man to enter his glory. The truth is, a kernel of wheat must be planted in the soil. Unless it dies, it will be alone, a single seed. So this is all Jesus speaking in story, so that it's an illustration so people can understand, but yet, because we're human, sometimes even the story is complicated, and that he repeats himself all through scriptures, all through the book of John. He's repeating himself, and he's talking about himself. And so I'm thinking when I was in this early, as we're just repeating ourselves in 6 through 9, or chapter 6, 9 through 13, I mean, that barley, those 5 barley loaves started as a seed. That barley was a seed, and that seed had to die before it could actually multiply. It had to be broken open. It had to be planted. It had to um, go into darkness. It had to be broken and opened up and vulnerable and susceptible. It's like that's what I love about how deep we could read John chapter 6 and just take it for granted because we read it and we've experienced it so many times. And so we just gloss over things. And now we are going so slowly and we're poking and prodding in between the words, in even between the letters, in between the concept of barley, and even that barley had a start, that bread had a start and it was a seed and the seed had to die. And remember, this is all again and again and again, Jesus reminding us of how to be in right relationship with him. And he's talking about that kernel of wheat. It's Jesus. It's crazy. It's beautiful. But its death will produce many new kernels, a plentiful harvest of new lives. This boy giving a meal is going to be a plentiful a plentiful harvest of new lives. He didn't know that. He didn't know that what he gave up was going to provide for 5,000 plus lives, but he did it. And so I'm going to pause here and connect with each of you. This is the last day we're talking about us as the vessel giving up a small offering. And then we are in this in between time that there is a delayed sense of like, what good is this? I mean, it is 7 something in the morning. I see a certain number of people. I see a certain amount of people who are quote unquote liking this. It is so small, mostly compared to what I used to do. That number of viewers, that number of likes. So when we don't do something compared to something else that seems so much bigger and so much more of an impact, then we might not do it. We are being challenged to die of self. We're being challenged to let go what we think this portion of ourselves, Jess, that we are offering. It seems so insignificant. We've been talking about this, so small. It's just this grain compared to the completed loaf of bread. Like, I don't get how it goes from here to that to then feeding thousands. But we as humans have this uh, process that we think things go through. And so we stop it, we halt it. Christine, do you know what I mean? Courtney, do you know what I mean? I feel so small and insignificant comparatively, so I'm not going to even offer that. That boy could say, this is so small, as Andrew did. This is so small to feed so many. I'm not going to give this up because it doesn't make sense. I'm not going to give this up. I know it'll feed my family, and it might be the family's food. We've talked about it. I hear myself repeat it might just be exactly the portion. So I'm going to wait and I'm going to just do this because it seems to be a good match for my family. I am not. It's an assurance. It's a guarantee. I know that this portion will take care of my family. You want me to give it up to take care of this sea of people that are, I mean, it must be in the thousands. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to us. And being in relationship with Jesus, he's trying to tell us it's not going to make sense. And that's usually when you know you're hanging with me, when it doesn't make sense, because our mind can't and it shouldn't be able to fully wrap around the abundant life of Jesus. And Jesus is talking about his death has to happen. Unless it dies, it will be alone, a single seed. Jesus would be alone, a single vessel. But its death will produce many new kernels. Jesus knew this as God, and he's experiencing it as man because he walks in a way that he wants us to follow. A plentiful harvest of new lives. What if you, Amy, were given the end in mind that what you offer up today would bless the harvest? It would bless other people. The ripple effect would be great. What if we were told ahead of time, Laura, what your meal would provide, what your small, itty bitty, inconsequential, seemingly offering. And if you were told the end in mind, if we could see what we'll be able to see in heaven when we have a conversation with God and we're back face to face and we're like, what? Me doing that? Did all of that? If we were told that ahead of time, which is what Jesus is trying to teach them then, we would act very differently. We would act very differently. Those who love life in this world will lose it. Those who despise their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. I mean, come on now. That is a lot for us to wrap our brain around, mostly when we're talking about life and death. And those who want to be my disciples must come and follow me because my servants must be where I am. My servants must be where I am. And he, in the book of John, chapter 6, is basically saying, I am the multiplication effect. I am not one. We can't do this whole world saving thing with just one. And he did it. He did it, but he did it by dying of self so that there can be many Jesuses walking in this world. Good morning, Amy. Hello. Are you feeling this at this 7 o'clock hour on this seemingly average Sunday? And then this is where it got me. This is where I'm like, man, this is deep. I just want to mind my own business. I just want to have, can I just have a quiet life? I just want to mind my own business and do my own thing and have my life. Here we are going ahead in John 12. And if they follow me, the Father will honor them. Now my soul is deeply troubled. So when we really understand what it's like to be in this relationship with Jesus, we're going to feel a troubling, we're going to feel a trembling, we're going to feel the feels of giving up not just this meal, but our whole lives. And what we think our story should look and sound and feel like, how we think our story should unfold. And Jesus says, he's going to go into the Lord's Prayer, you all. Listen to this. Jesus says, so should I pray, Father, save me from what lies ahead? Save me from this death. But that is the very reason why I came. So, Father, bring glory to your name. The very reason why we have breath in our lungs, Christine and Laura and Amy, is to die of self. I'm tired. I wanted to sleep in. I would have had a great excuse. Why not to offer this Sunday morning meal, the bread of life, this part of the flesh of Jesus and the blood of Jesus, as we're sharing this meal together, quietly together in this early morning on Sunday or whenever you're listening, because it's this morning that is not just an average Sunday morning. It's a morning to be reminded, mostly on a Sunday. Are we willing to give up the story? Are we willing to give up our lives for the greater good, for the harvest? I woke up so excited, not on the wrong side of the bed. It doesn't make sense to this vessel. And yet, his written word is reminding us of a very deep, sacred message. If you're willing to give up your comfort of sleeping in, if you're willing to give up your portion, Kim, I know you are. I know you are a walking sacrificial vessel, and we're all learning to be more and more. We are all learning to die more and more to ourselves. That is sanctification. That's the consecration process. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Ooh, your will be done, that boy said. Okay, your will be done. But can you tell me what you're going to do with it? Am I going to be harmed by you taking this? We don't. And I'm telling you, that's why Jesus in 12 is like, oh, I'm feeling this is deeply troubling me, because when we're really disturbed, when our life is really interrupted, we're going to feel it. We're going to feel that offering. And we won't know, which is why it takes faith and it takes trust. Trust is faith in action. This boy is teaching us, Jesus is teaching us. I trust you with this portion. I trust you with my story. I trust you with my life. Yeah. I trust you. It's that window, it's that incremental time. Is it 5 minutes? Is it 55 years? You want me to die even more? You want me to give even more up? I don't know what you're going to do with it. But if I'm in this relationship with you, Jesus, I don't, I'm giving up that right. I'm giving up that right to know I'm just following you and I'm willing to die of self. I feel that. I see some of you are like, "Oh, I can feel that now. I'm feeling the tension of this portion of this morning." It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt to our soul. It hurt this boy's soul, his mind, his will, his emotions, to die of self, to die of the dreams that we've had, that it's got to look, if I said yes to this. And I mean, how cool that this boy got an immediate picture. That's really amazing when we get an immediate picture of what that sacrifice, what that offering, what that dying of self. He saw pretty immediately the multiplication effect. But so often, and that's why we get to hang on to that, because if it happened here, it's going to happen again. I know it, but guess what? Most often we don't get to see the immediate effects. There's such delay. And so will we do it anyway? Hmm. Part of this message that I planned out went into what, not just the sacred moment of the decision to give up, and then to kind of wait to see, like, and there's a darkness. And we think about a seed, we think about, and I said this at the top of the hour, but it's like there is a dark period, there is a trembling, there is um a loneliness, there is a brokenness, there is an opened up. And so as we're closing out this part, we're getting into the middle of this journey together, and we keep we keep reciting the Lord's prayer. It is this humble offering when we give it up like that, and our hands are open, and then we're like this, your will be done. Bring heaven to earth. Look at how much I can capture so much like this. Yeah, and so Jesus is gonna give us the right, just right portion, and we pray that. As I have in my prayer journal, the very first page I open up just so that my ADD, unfocused mind, to-do list mind opens this up and this up. Give us this day our daily bread. He's going to give us just the exact right portion that is going to be the exact right portion for all the people we interact with today. And forgive us our debts as we forgive those who have debted against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And I moved my page. Oh, right. Hello. Went right to it. Hello. But I want to read it out of Jesus's words again, and then we're going to close it up. Father, he says with trembling, should I pray? Save me from what lies ahead. How often, if I pray over my loved ones, myself, I pray over, we all kind of talked about the fact that all yesterday was my son in his own wrestling, his actual wrestling. And of course, I want to pray over his health and his heal, and that he stays healthy. I want to pray over my boys that are away from us. They're in college. I want to pray over my marriage. I want to pray over my own life. I want to pray over my brain disease. I want to pray over all the things. I want to pray over my book. I want to pray over it all. But what I really want to do is follow the way Jesus. Should I pray, Father, save me from what lies ahead? No. At the end of the day, could that be why I am meant to be here? In this evil, there is going to be evil while we're on this side of heaven, on earth. And so when we say, lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil, we already are in a victorious, we won. We're alive. We are more alive as believers as ever. And we will never, ever really die. Nothing can ultimately harm us. And so when we say, should I pray for what lies ahead, to protect us from what lies ahead, or protect our loved ones from what lies ahead? As believers, we're already good. And Jesus is showing us that. Save me. Should I pray? It's more like this. Use me. Break me open. I don't want to be harmed. But if it would bless those who I do life with. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't I don't wanna get too complicated, Tara, don't get too complicated, but I don't wanna be afraid of anything that lies ahead because we are promised that the portion, that the smallness, that whatever we're giving up in our entire lives being broken open as Jesus shares with us, we have nothing to fear because all of it is used, just like we're realizing even the leftovers, it's all used for the common good. And it is the harvest is right. People need you. And I'm definitely going to close it up here. I'm waking up. And so now that I'm all awake and ready to rock and roll, I don't want to leave, but I'm going to leave you with this concept, this thought that no matter the size in the kingdom of God, as we are entering into today, and we just simply want to bring heaven to earth today, in whatever portion, it's always going to be enough. People will always reap the rewards of being in relationship with you because you are bringing the glory into that moment. And please, let's just get into, we know the end in mind. It's a victorious end. And when we grasp onto that, we grasp onto this multiplication effect. You, Christine, are multiplying. You, Courtney, showing up at church. Amy, you showing up. And you smiling at somebody or saying a hello or apologizing where you needed to apologize or just being at a wrestling match all day with the glory, bringing that with us. The more we die of self, the more glory that shows up, and guaranteed, we are guaranteeing bringing a multiplication effect. It took me 37 minutes to get to that point because I was just willing to show up, have my life, my morning disrupted to be able to feel this time together. That if we really knew the end in mind, if we really fully knew, no matter what, and even if we are bringing glory, we are bringing Jesus on the scene, and it multiplies always. It always blesses the common good, always. But we may not see it the way they got to see it in John chapter 6. We might not see it with our human eyes, but the miracle is always happening through you, Bernice and Gail. So I'm going to end it there. I thank you for feasting on this portion with me. I thank you for encouraging me. I thank you for your messages. Maybe that's what got me out of bed. Like I don't know. Actually, that's a lie. The spirit, truly the spirit is what got me out of bed. Because even if nobody tells me how this blesses them, I'm going to show up anyway because I do believe in what I read in this. And that's why I give whatever portion. All right, I'm going to stop talking. I wish we were actually hanging out together and we could just move from having our coffees and our waters and having breakfast, and then breakfast. We just talk, and then it turns into lunch, and then we just talk, and then it turns into dinner. But that's not the portion we're all here to do together. So I love you all. Thanks for hanging out with Jesus, the glory through me, this little offering. Have a blessed rest of your day. Bye.